and see. Okay, audio, we got to get it down to 27 dB. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's see if, was that scary? Was it very loud there? Yeah, sorry, Alec. It's, I'm without Mayreen today, so things are just a little bit slower and messier, but it's getting better. We're almost there, set up. And Alex, I'm going to assume you can hear me, right? Clearly?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. Okay, so now we've got to get this connected to overhead. But first, what I'll do is I'm going to do something like this. Okay, so we'll go there, and then we'll bring in that. Oh, where is our HDMI? Interesting. I see what the issue is now. Okay, so it's a connection issue, and it's not that. I see. So they can hear me, and I got it. And they can see. Oh, that's because we're on here, but they can't do it here. Okay, so let's try this then. This is, does that, yeah, I think that should do it. Now, let's see what happens. Yeah, great. Good, I'm feeling smart. I'm feeling smart. That's what I want to see. Great, so we've got connection there. And just let me double check again. Alex, can you hear me again? I just had to do something here. Can you just put it in the live chat? You can hear? And let me get, hold on. Good, okay, so now let's, so we don't get too dizzy here. Let's bring this in. Put this over here. So we know we're in live chat. We've got that. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So we'll default to that for now. Now, the next thing I want to do is we'll keep that up here, but I want to go PC. So that's counterintuitive. So that's going to be over here. So that's going to be over here. Okay, come back. I don't want that. Nice. Now, Rock PC will get me this. I can play the videos out of here. Is this working? Let's go. Tech. Come on, Tech. No, not working again today. It's going to be slow, aren't you? No, it's just the Tech is not keeping up with the human cognition right now. Tech is dumb. And here we go again. It was supposed to be fixed, but it hasn't been. So, okay, we're not going to let tech get in the way. That's not a human problem. That's a tech issue. And it's just, it'll probably come. So, in order for this to work around, which is I can't access the PC computer, and so our workaround is going to be something like this. Okay, we're going to go to right now PC Connect, and we'll do it this way. You know, everything is set up here, but it just doesn't work all the time the way it's supposed to. But I have a workaround, and what I'll do is for this, until this is working, I'm going to come back to here and I'll put the notes up here, and the notes are on pod 1. Good. So we've got here. Okay, great. So I'm going to go to short history, and I'm going to play the video out of the folder from last week, class 4. There we go. And we've got everything teed up there, which is good. Now let's just try this for a moment. I had this, yeah. Okay, good. I didn't play this last week, did I? Spirit of Repair? No, good. Okay. So let's just make sure before I do this, I'm going to run this for a second. Let's see. Do we get audio here? And it might be because that. Good. Great. Okay, so I've got that working. Okay, so that means we can run it here. I'll go back here. Now, here's what I have to do for the moment. I'm going to do it off tabs. So instead of that way, yeah, I'll run it off tabs today. Okay, so still not working. The hell with that. I'm not going to get hung up on dumb tech, you know, when it's supposed to be working and it's not. And it's nobody's fault, but tech just does not want to cooperate. So let's see what we have. I think we can get going. What do I have in the dock? I've got my PowerPoint, I've got my books. And most importantly is the students are here. Lovely. And so would it be possible to just for you two to come in between those students there so the others can see you? That's all. You see, come in here and here, so you'll get that in that row. Great. Okay, so first let me just finally get the tech properly set up and then I'll explain. For all of you online right now, we're going to start the class with one or two, maybe more videos that I didn't show you last week that I want to show you now to get caught up. So online, please go to DC Connect and have a tab open there from the folder on DC Connect for last week's class, because in a moment, you all are going to disappear from the big dashboard behind me, and I'm going to teach completely to the in-person group. You will hear everything. We won't see you while the videos are going, but I want you to watch the videos too, the same ones, and they're all teed up in the folder for class 4. So first, I just want to make sure to confirm that all of you online, AJ, Amber, Carlos, Jonathan, Connor, Kyle, and everybody else, would you please just put into the live chat when you're teed up, yes. That means that you have opened DC Connect in another tab and you went to the class folder for class 4 and you see the videos there. And what you will see in that folder will be this content. Of course, you'll see the recording from last week, the Smartboard notes, the live chat, but then you'll see class 4 resource, Spirit Repair. You're going to see a website repair cafe, AR Wallace, and human footprints. Okay, so those are the 4 things we need to familiarize ourselves with at the beginning of today's class in review. Spirit of Repair, Repair Cafe, AR Wallace, and human footprints. So for those of you online, great. Jonathan, Alex, excellent. You've got everything? Connor, great. So here's what I'm going to do because I'm just sort of teaching right now off my toes. I don't have Maureen with me right now, so I'm back to the way things used to be, which is I'm doing tech and content at the same time, and it can be a lot of bandwidth I've got to deal with. But it's okay. We're just takes a little more time. Great. So I know that the online students are now ready. And what I will do is just so things don't look so crazy here, I'm going to bring the map back. And that way I can do this. And I think what I'll do is I'll make that disappear for now. And I'll bring in participants over here. That way I can do that. And then let's bring the map back. Let's scale it to size. So we tee that up. No, we want it to fit. Like zoom to fit. That's better. Okay, so then it goes in here. Nice. And then that's what everybody sees, essentially. Great, so we're connected online. The recording's going on YouTube in high def. We're here, ready to go. Audio's working. Any problems, just put it in the live chat. Great. Connor, Jonathan, Alex, everybody's good. I've done it. And I've even troubleshot at the same time. Let's see if this dumb mouse. Okay, I'll find the time to contact tech and deal with this myself, but most importantly, we can have a class. We're now set up and we're all good. So welcome everyone to Short History of the World, class number 5 in our journey to understand the human story on planet Earth. Whoops. Were any of you up late last night getting the first assignment done? You might have been, but hopefully you were not too late. You got the first assignment in earlier. So the Dropbox has essentially closed for it. If you are submitting the first assignment now, it will show up very late and you will very likely get a 0 for it. So just be aware that that's there. However, if Dropbox is still open, you could submit it. It will sit there. You will likely get 0, but then I will look at it and I will go, let's see if that student emails me in a state of some panic that they can to me late. And let's see, because I might give them a chance this time to perhaps get marked. Maybe I'll take some marks off, but I usually give every student one chance this semester for extensions and things like that. We'll see how it goes. At any rate, first assignment is in. 15% of your grade is riding on that. I'm looking forward to reading the assignments and also marking some of them in terms of which ones maybe you could read out loud in class, because I really like to share the work with students too. I've been so busy with over 200 students this semester, so I haven't even had a chance to really take a close look at your questions and the reasons for your questions that you've been posting on the discussion board through the first half of the semester. I have been just marking them by essentially looking and seeing who put their question there, and then I put either a 3 or a 2, depending on what they put in there. So all of you who've been coming in person and posting your questions, you should see now that you've been receiving 3 out of 3 consistently for them. For the others who have been submitting from watching the recordings, I just have to check attendance and make sure that everything is accurate. You have submitted at the word count, 175 words, with your reason for the question, you too will get 3 out of 3. And for those of you in outer space, live right now, if you have been in outer space through this semester and you've been just submitting a question and not a reason, then you would get 2 out of 3. So you know what it is by now. If you have any questions, you can always. Yes, thanks, Alec. Yassine, I think we're hearing from the laptop microphone. That's why it's not clear. Thank you for that. Okay, so hold on a second. I'm glad you told me that because I need to go back in Tutoria for a moment. Give me a moment and let's see why this is connected. And it could be, hold on, microphones, internal microphone, same as system. No, we don't want the internal microphone right now. We have the speaker, same as system, press on HDMI. I'll do that. It might mean I have to stay here. Just give me a moment. It could mean this. All right, so thank you so much for that, Yassine. Let me just check again and see. Yassine, you can hear me nice and clearly right now, correct? Because I'm standing at the podium. Okay, let's do a little check. Okay, Yassine, as I walk away, now I'm starting to fade. Yassine, am I fading? Am I yelling? Can you hear me over here, or am I nice and clear now? Right now. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Well, then we have, yeah, exactly. Now you can hear me, okay? Clearly, I'm at the podium. Can you just put another yes there? And then if that's a yes, great. Thanks, Amber. Then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay at the podium today, more or less. I can't move around, but, you know, that's the way it goes when I don't have. So I'm going to remove this. Let's just see, because I don't think this is, hold on. So one more time. Yassine, Amber, can you hear me clearly? I've just turned off my microphone here. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so it is open. A little bit of less chat. That's all right. So troubleshooting number 2. We've got the audio done. We've got that. So I'm going to park myself here. I'm going to bring the map back. And it'll be like very, very old days, which is just stand at a podium and deliver a PowerPoint. But at least everybody can hear me and you can see everything there. And of course, tech not working the way it should. I don't see anything over there, so I'll have to turn. But okay, thank you very much for letting me know. And Alec, if you do see anything in the live chat, let me know, or anybody else, raise a hand. Otherwise, I'm going to talk to all of you like this, and I'll try and stay still. Not the easiest thing to do when the mind gets going. Okay, well then, do you have any questions? Anything that you would like to bring to the class's attention right now? Please take a microphone if you do. Josiah, if you do, there's a microphone. I'll trust all of you that if you have something to say today, given the fact that I'm solo, I won't be able to come give you the microphone. So make sure that you go and pass it around if there's anything that you would like to say. Other than that, I'll trust as well that Alec and others will let me know what's happening in the live chat. That keeps us connected to outer space and the cosmos, and we can move along. Well, then, today, we are going to essentially do a good review of civilization because there were things from last week that I didn't show you that were important. Not just videos that didn't get shown but have been posted, but also just some information that's really important in terms of a timeline that I'd like to review with you. And I'm going to do that as well before we get into Awakenings of Power, which is the next chapter of the story. So essentially, what I would like to do for the duration of today's class, given that we are technically a little bit challenged with me solo here, I could reach out to some of you for technical assistance, I have no doubt, but it would mean I have to explain a whole bunch of things. It would take too long. Okay, so essentially, there probably won't be the kind of great group activity that we had last week. I'd like to do that every week. Yes, okay, but let's see. Good, okay, so let me just wait for a second. I'll explain and then I'll come to that, okay? Good, so what I'm gonna do to make sure I know how things are working here, I have to work around for this. Give me a moment, and then I will always be able to know there's that, because I have to stay still, tethered to here and looking out here. So right now there's live chat, and I'll come to the live chat in a moment for all of you, but what I want to make you very clear on is that today it's going to be largely looking at videos, me lecturing, us having a discussion like this, but we won't be kind of combining into teams or anything else like that. There's just too much to catch up on, and I want to make sure everything is technically working. Okay, so all right, so let me go to the live chat and see what's happening here. Jonas has a question. Participation mark will be the same if someone comes in person or online. And also, okay, so Jonas, I guess you haven't heard the explanation yet. Why don't I do this, since I love to have students participating? Who's prepared to answer Jonas's question? Because this is one of those questions that I'll be completely blunt. Jonas, but it's all in the aid of helping you, okay? You should know this by now. We're into the 5th week. This is a first week question. So is there anybody here that would like to answer it? But I don't want to make you feel like you're on the spot and you're doing my work, and you might feel like, well, you know, I could be in Jonas's position, so I don't want to be answering it. So let me answer it for you, Jonas, okay? Your question is, participation mark will be the same if someone comes in person or online? No. That's the short answer. And here's why. There are 3 ways that you can participate in this class. This is a HyFlex multimedia classroom that we have here. If you come in person, you immediately get 3 out of 3 for participation in the class, as long as you post a question afterwards on the discussion board based on the class. That's what everybody's been doing here who comes. And so essentially, my mark for that is encouraging you to come out of outer space and come into a class where we can interact as human beings in person. So all you have to do is just come to the class, post a question, and you get 3 out of 3. However, I won't ask you why you're online. I won't, because you may have a good reason. But I'm always encouraging students to get into an in-person class because they can learn more that way. But if you have to stay online, then you have to also post the question as well at the end of the class. But you would only receive 2 out of 3 for that. That's 66% or so. So that's a big decrease in what you get. If you want 3 out of 3, you have to do what the students who are watching the recordings are doing. Those are the asynchronous students. They have to post a question and a reason for the question in 175 to 200 words. Everything is laid out on DC Connect for you. You should know this, Jonas, but now hopefully you know it. Jonas, do you understand? Clearly, you can jump on your microphone. Actually, that may not work. Just go into the live chat and say, great, you understand. Okay, so I won't belabor that. I see here, Jonathan, if you are online and you put a question and response in the discussion board, it has more. If you are online, you have to put a question and response in the discussion board for that week. It has more instructions on the board. Oh, okay. Jonathan, are you giving directions to Jonas? Is that what you're doing? Okay, let me just make sure. Okay. Guys, thank you, Jonathan. The class is designed to have tech support with me. And then this all works well. The class is designed for everything to be working here properly. It's not today. If it's working really, really well, I can teach seamlessly to the in-person group, and we don't get caught up dealing with all the online stuff. Everything works. So forgive me right now for the outer space group on your planets and people watching the recording, but I got to move and teach to the in-person group. This is the critical group. Everybody else will be able to figure things out. Alec. Sure. That's in part because not everybody is so great at karaoke. They're not singing directly into the damn thing. They're talking over it. And some people, okay, I'm going to go get a microphone and show you. In theory, if you just, you know, it's like you're on stage for Canada's Got Talent or something. You got to hold the damn thing here and talk into it like that. But if you kind of talk over it like that and then into it, it kind of comes and goes. You couldn't hear anything. Okay, well, then you have another tech issue that has to be dealt with. But, you know, thanks for letting me know. I will try as best I can to be always a human being in this classroom, which means I won't let tech slow us down. But to kind of take advantage of a teachable moment here that Alec has brought my attention to, today is about awakenings of power. Why did I just say that, and how does that connect to what Alex just said in the microphone? Well, actually, it connects a lot. So let me try and bring all of this back to where we're going. If we can get through the review today in good time, and I can get you caught up to essentially about 5,000 years ago, when human civilization really begins to develop, you're going to understand this idea of awakenings to power or awakenings of power. And what that means is that humans start to accelerate in their development of tool making and technology and free thinking and imagination and dreaming starts to emerge in the human story, largely as a result of religious prophets, but then it gets a real kick when Greece and the golden age of Greece begins to accelerate this idea that humans are capable of thinking for themselves. They don't need a big god king figure or a daddy figure or a mummy figure to run things. It's called human rights. When you release this power, we can invent a great deal. We can advance very quickly. That kind of free thinking results in technology, massive technology, microphones, computers, airplanes, automobiles, new weapons of war and mass destruction. But it introduces another new, even bigger problem that we're going to see play out in human history. When we introduce new technologies, like a microphone, and we give ourselves more power to communicate better, to destroy more people, to conquer more things with weapons, it introduces a new kind of dependence on technology. In this classroom that we've created, I think as we go forward, it is potentially a model for the rest of the world to see what's possible with sophisticated use of technology in a classroom. That's why Mayreen and I are going to Japan in Osaka next year for the World Expo. However, I become, like many of you, very dependent on the technology to work. And if the technology is not working the way it should, I feel as a human right now that I should shut everything down and send you all home because it's not working the way I want today. And because I'm alone and I don't have support. But I would never do that. What I do, what a good human does today when technology is not working, is that he says or she says to himself, who cares? What matters is the humans together, and we will find a workaround. We will fix it. Who cares? Let's move on and get it done. Let's concentrate on the really important thing. But this is a problem in the world today. We have created, through our free thinking, our powerful minds that we've given freedom to. This is what awakenings to power means. You will see this. I'm just setting this up for you. You will see that when we humans invent, writing, for example, as you saw last week, we become dependent on that technology to the point where it potentially starts to control us. And we have to make sure it doesn't. We have to make sure we don't get bogged down with our tools. Is that making sense? A little bit? Okay. So that's a long way of me trying to connect what's happening here to what matters today. And it all does connect in the end, which is really today we're going to understand how humans awaken themselves to a new kind of power. They freed themselves from the god kings and they decided that they could actually rule themselves with what's called democracy. that they weren't afraid of inventing things that might become more powerful than their own rulers. And this is going to lead us to where we are now, which is look at this world that we have with 8 billion on the planet, all connected in this global technological civilization, people traveling all over the world, and a global classroom like this, where we have so many people from different cultures, and we're able to live stream in high definition on YouTube to the whole planet. This is powerful technology. So, on that note, why don't we go to a video and start the review? I'm so ready to move, but I can't. So I just have to stand on my toes here somehow and not move from this stupid microphone that is embedded in a laptop, and I need to be mobile right now, but that's not working. Okay, first video we all need to watch. I need to introduce you to something that is related to this whole educational experience in this classroom. It's called the Repair Cafe. That's why I'm wearing this hat today. And I'll pass it around. Just don't, take it with you. Okay, you can wear it. My hair is washed. And in order to understand Repair Cafe, everybody in the cosmos right now, would you go ahead and watch on your own, mute your microphones, the video called The Spirit of Repair. And I'm going to assume that everybody online right now is watching it. And now we're going to watch it together. And this is going to introduce you to something that maybe you would like to become a part of. And there might even be marks attached to this for your final assignment. So here we go. Let's go to the Spirit of Repair. And let's...
Okay. All right. So,
a repair cafe is a place where neighbors help neighbors learn how to repair. They can sit with the fixer, have a cup of coffee, have some pastry, and learn and watch how something is actually fixed.
what happens is, as a person runs, the brake pads wear down, and you need to move the table a little bit so you can still, when you grab it, still use the rim right away and stop. I just moved here, and I was looking for something interested in volunteer type to do. And this was like the first newsletter that I saw. And I thought, wow, that sounds really awesome. Why don't we like to tinker with this stuff? I don't like to do this day to day.
It's actually a great initiative. People just call stuff that's broken.
It's very empowering. It gives people a sense that they can actually take control of those objects in their lives and hold on to them and understand them, get inside them, and it gives things more meaning.
Planetarium. Small, it'll project stars onto the ceiling. It wasn't rotating, and now there's nothing wrong with it.
Here's slipped out. The reporter taking apart to the global innards.
When you feel like you understand what a motherboard is inside your computer, when you can take apart your toaster, when you can learn how to fix your tire on your bicycle, these are things that give you a sense of some control and a sense of accomplishment. And it's not just about bringing your item in and giving it over to somebody to fix while you just go away somewhere. This is about you learning how to fix things around you, and that can be a metaphor for fixing things in your life. Love to kind of sit and hang out and soak up the vibe. I often say to people, this may sound a little bit corny, but what you see when you walk into this humanity at its best. Okay, just give that a little thought. I heard something good. And let's come back to Josiah, and I'm going to show you. Yes, Josiah, please grab a microphone.
That was really cool.
Good. He is the prophet. Keep going, keep going. Hold on. Did you? I want to make sure everybody heard Josiah, because everyone in space and on the recording. Amber, did you just say yes or no? Did you just hear Josiah clearly, or do you need no? No. Okay. That is. It's okay. Can you rewind Josiah? Hold it. Karaoke, like right in there, and just say the same thing again with the same, enthusiasm and authenticity. Go ahead. Yep. That's for sure. Yeah. You get it. Oh, I think I know why they're not hearing you. Because it's only the laptop. That's okay. Sorry. Come up here, okay? And this is, I'm not going to swear. In front of you guys. I mean, no. What you need to do is, with all of this today, none of this is working. Just stand here. Okay. You come up. So now Josiah is going to speak. They can see you. They can see. So now go stand right here. Okay. And just talk. Tell them now in the live chat. You should be able to hear Josiah. So Josiah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. There we go. Go ahead.
Let's go. Okay. That video is really cool, and I'm glad you taught me about this thing, because community outreach and working together for like volunteers is so important. Teaching vital skills, especially in today's world. Like, I feel like more people maybe used to know how to repair their stuff, especially when it was less complex. But no, it's just this type of thing is like really necessary, because the more skills you have, the more skills you can teach others. Well,
It's
I
great.
don't know, who knows
You
what
get
happens
it.
in the future, right? Like, it's just it's just really important stuff to do, and this type of, like, especially outside of like corporate marketing kind of things.
Yep.
It means you won't have to spend money that you could use for other things on just replacing something that breaks. That's right. Because this all breaks, especially when they make it so it's supposed to break after a certain amount of time.
Even less time now. Things are
Yeah.
breaking sometimes in
They
less time, because
They
that
make
means
things
you have to
worse,
buy
so you
something
have to
new.
buy it now, and they get more money from that. So being able to just repair it yourself, so important. That's so cool.
Well, this is great, Josiah. Thank you so much for you get it. I wasn't surprised that you do, because there's a good mind at work there, and an interesting helicopter maybe too that you could. So hold on, we've got a nice little thing working here, which means that you guys online can hear clearly the students as long as they come up here, because I have something I want to offer all of you. Okay, this is not just me promoting some kind of activity that I'd like you to think about. There's something else here that's important to say. Just curious, Alex, did you hear everything clearly that Josiah said? I'm assuming you did. Okay. Just
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, okay. So we can hear you. Good. So that's working. Okay, great. So here is my offer to all of you. First, the next thing I'd like you to look at in the folder is the Repair Cafe website. Now, that's here, and it's going to come up. And I'm going to explain a little bit about this organization. And I'll try and make this a little bit bigger, but yeah, I can do it. Okay, great. So make sure the audio, sometimes this, okay, good. So while I'm over there, Root, can you still hear me? Because sometimes it just put a yes or a no, okay? Yeah, great. Okay, so let me come back. Here's the second thing. So for all of you online, make sure that you go to the website. And for those of you watching the recording as well, full disclosure, my wife is one of the co-founders of the Repair Cafe. And essentially, the Repair Cafe, Toronto, has been going for about 10 years now. And it's based on an international movement. It started in Amsterdam. Right now, there are something like 4,000 repair cafes around the world. And to cut to the chase, I'm planning to start a repair cafe in this global classroom with students. And we're going to have one on December the 11th in this classroom. Yeah, exactly, Josiah. So I'm going to make an offer to some of you. So listen closely, but there's no pressure. I only bring things to this class that maybe will inspire you and open your minds and expand your minds to human possibility, to what we can do with our imaginations and our courage and our perseverance. You will see in the story of human history that it's taken a long time for us to come collectively to trust ourselves, to be able to rule ourselves with what is called democracy and human rights. Most of human history is filled with strong men, emperors and kings and warriors, mostly men, some women, but the women sort of become the men too, just like Cleopatra, or there have even been Indian queens or American queens, and they all become sort of like men too, which is that they essentially believe that you have to conquer others and dominate others to gain power. But there is a story that you're going to hear increasingly, and today I might even read from the last days of Socrates, one of our great philosophers in the story of human development, in how we humans have won this thing called human rights and respect for our desire to solve things ourselves. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, she was one of the principal architects of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. It's a cliche line that's heard many times, but I'll say it again. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And if you want another way of looking at this, the video game Civilization, Sid Meier, the creator of, he loves this line too. He's used it once or twice in his trailers. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of the dream. So the Repair Cafe is an innovation. And my wife started to work with the people in Amsterdam to develop the Repair Cafe in Canada. And Repair Cafe Toronto is a pretty big organization. Right now it has about 800 volunteers going. We have repair cafes happening all over Toronto in churches, community centers, libraries. Every week or so, you'll see the website is very active. But it's time to start one in Oshawa. And since I'm very involved in it and want created the Global Classroom here, I'd like to combine the Repair Cafe with the Global Classroom. I think it would be pretty cool to have students coming in with things to fix, lined up with all their computers and other things that are broken, and there's other students and professors who love to fix things, and they're all sitting around and having some coffee and pastries over there at the cafe and fixing things. So, for your final assignment, I'm going to give all of you an option. I teach 3 classes here. Global Leader, which is really what this is all about. But for my other classes, Humanities, Destiny, and Short History of the World, I'd like to offer this to all of my students, all 200 plus students that I teach here this semester. As I've said to the Global Leader students on Wednesday morning, and there are now 5 of them who want to be involved in organizing this Repair Cafe, this first one. If you would like to get involved in organizing the first Repair Cafe in the Global Classroom, I would be prepared to allow you to work with the Global Leader students who are doing their final assignment around this. And your final assignment for Short History of the World could be an explanation in the same way you would have done it with any other topic, 1,500 words, where you explain what the experience was like organizing this Repair Cafe, putting it together, and then I will try and add a historical dimension to it so that it's relevant for you in this class. But there may be some students in this class who are also emerging sort of global leaders, or who believe in taking responsibility and leading rather than following. You will see in the story of human beings that a lot of the story is about us, humans, taking responsibility for our destiny on this planet and not relying on emperors and rulers and strongmen to tell us what to do. In every society, whether it was China, India, Africa, Europe, the Americas, everywhere in the world, civilization was built on men who said they were divine, and the meek, ordinary people, for one reason or another, who believed it and obeyed. Until this all burst eventually into democratic revolutions, the Industrial Revolution and other times when we decided we can rule ourselves. So maybe you will start to get inspired a bit by that story this semester as you see it unfold, and you'll say, well, yeah, I'd like to get involved in organizing this new thing with a group of students in this classroom. And I know that I could do a good job and write about it, and I'm prepared to build your final assignment around it. And that's 30% of your grade in this class. But you don't have to do this. I'm just offering it to you, okay? So let's see now what you think about this. All right, Alec, go ahead. Yeah. Absolutely, but I'm not, I'm amazed that you might want to volunteer, because I know how stressed and overwhelmed students are with things right now. So I wouldn't expect you to volunteer, but if you did volunteer and you still wanted to contribute the normal final assignment for Short History Work, amazing. For sure you can, Alec, you can volunteer, but I'm putting marks to this because I think it's so important to be involved in something like this. And I also understand how busy students are. I get many emails from students panicked at the last minute, students who plagiarize and cheat because they're just panicked and they cut and paste things. So I know, I can't expect students to be volunteering. It's just, did everybody just hear that? online and in the, the recordings, and those of you who are going to watch the recordings, maybe you'll hear this coming from the sky today. You're sitting at work right now, or you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, or you're handing out stale coffee at Wendy's, and you just heard a voice that just drifted into you saying, time management, and you don't know where it came from, but you were just handing somebody at the Tim's drive-in, you're handing them a patty of some thing, and you heard time management coming. It was Alex. Just said it. Thank Alex. You're gonna have to watch out. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask. I'm just kind of curious, but again, I don't want to put any pressure, because some of you might think you have to raise your hand. You don't. How many of you would be interested in getting involved in this for your final assignment? This guy, Josiah, I know for sure is. Really? Yeah? Wow. How many of you like to fix things? You're kind of like secret fixers, and you would be interested in meeting all these other fixers that, come in, and there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah. Well, then, here's my test to see if you're serious. In the next 48 hours, just shoot me an email and say, I'm in for this. And then I will get you ready with the team, and you will be part of this, and your final assignment can be part of this. But let's see if all you have to do is send me an email, say, yes, I heard you in class today. I have said that to students before, and somehow between the time I said it to them and the end of the class and the next hours, it flew out of their heads and they forgot. But I'm going to tell you, if you're serious, really serious, then shoot me an email, and I mean what I say. I'm not, telling you anything that is untrue here. This can all happen. This is all real. No conspiracy. Great. Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay. Long as the time and place for those of you, what's your name? You're Kyle. Okay. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle said as long as there's a time and a place, he'll be there. And for those of you, let's see what's happening over here in the cosmos. Anybody online here that's who's great? Jonas, the other option, don't worry, is the normal assignment. I will be posting in an assignment sheet. Again, this is something different. This is not the actual final assignment. So this is just an extra thing, okay? The assignment sheet for the final assignment will be posted after the break. It's coming in a couple of weeks. What day and time is it? Good question, AJ. It's going to be Wednesday, December the 11th. Wednesday, December the 11th. You can write that down, okay? But we have to work out all sorts of details. Final thing about this, before I forget. On Saturday, October the 19th, there will be a repair cafe at the Toronto Public Library at Bloor and Young in Toronto. It's a normal one. I'll be there, my partners, all, fixers, everybody. Apparently the mayor, Olivia Chow, in Toronto, she may be coming as well. Are you aware we have a Chinese woman who's a mayor of Toronto? Yeah, she may be coming, apparently. We've had quite a bit of media attention. You can see on the website, there's been a lot of media attention for this. So the Global Leader students will be coming just to shadow and watch how an event is put together. You're welcome to come to that too, okay, if you want to see how it's done. And I think two of them, Vicky and one other, I met with them yesterday, have cars. But in your email, if you could just let me know if you would like to come to the October 19th, just to come and see it in action, okay? And then I'll make sure that you're connected to the group of global leaders and you can all go together. And the Toronto Public Library, by the way, do any of you know the big one at Bloor and Young? That's right, the Sherlock Holmes room. That's good. You know it. It's actually quite an amazing building. It's when it was built. Yeah, it's a reference library. It's our big library in Toronto. And for any students who are Chinese here or Asian, okay, even Indian, South Asian too. Right next to the Sherlock Holmes room is there's a room of Chinese resources and a Chinese history. That there have been Chinese immigrants who've donated their sort of letters and journals and other things about immigrating to Canada and helping to build the Canadian Railroad. Want a little bit of history, extra history? We wouldn't have the Canadian Railroad that connects Canada without all the Chinese immigrants who came over at the beginning of the 20th century and were pounding in those rails all across the country. And they were abused. So were Japanese during the Second World War, but that's a bit more complex because Japan was our enemy. And we'll get to that. Look. So should we move on? Is there anything else for those? Great. So Root and AJ, you know that you have to email me if you would like to get involved, and we could have a great group of students, and you will all be responsible for finding the fixers on campus, like yourselves, people, and we'll fill up this whole room with people and objects. And I've been at events where there have been lineups of about maybe 80 to 90 people waiting on a street with lamps, computers, bicycles, and all sorts of sentimental things, old things broken, clothes that need to be sewn, jewelry that needs to be attached. And then at 10 in the morning, they all come into this big open space in a church or a library or whatever, and all the fixers are there, usually about 40 of them at different tables, all ready for people to come in, and they sit with the fixers, get things fixed, and they learn how to get it done. So Josiah really got it in terms of how we learn how to fix things together, and it's all about what could be our future, the human future. We all figure out how to fix the world. It's a tall order, but we got to fix things. So much is broken, right? You don't need to tell me. I hear from you in your assignments and others how dark some of you see the future. So if it's broken, fix it. That's what humans do. In the old days, as you will see, when something was broken, we waited for the king to come in and tell us what to do. We waited for the priest, the rabbi, the mullah, the guru to say, here's what you do, little child. And we obeyed. We don't want to do that anymore as humans, because that leads to oppression, corruption, and enslavement. You're going to see that all soon. But anyways, thank you for listening and allowing me to go on about the Repair Cafe. I really believe in it. I've seen it work. It's not just an amazing community event. It's also keeping thousands and thousands of things being thrown into landfills. So it's actually contributing to a more sustainable. Okay, let's come back to our story then. Unless you have any questions, I'd like us to proceed now to the next little video that I had lined up that takes us back to where we need to be. How many of you were able to watch the video A.R. Wallace? Did any of you see it and watch it? I hope nobody did, because that's what I would like to be able to introduce you to now, is this person that I didn't have a chance to really talk about last week. Okay, so before those of you online, click on the A.R. Wallace video, and before we do too, can I just set the context for you again? I would like to be able to put down a timeline for you of the story so far, and there's a lot in how I've been delivering this story so far that has been different than any other semester. Normally I come in and I present my lectures and then we have a discussion, but I wanted it to be a lot more interactive with students this semester. And so there's a lot that you haven't been told yet about the story. And I need to explain this. I'm going to give you the timeline from the podium right now. I'm not going to go over to the smartboard and do it there. It's just the audio is a problem. I can't talk from there. So is there a student who could stand over there and write these things down clearly and would enjoy it, would enjoy writing on the board? Just some dates, some critical dates. It's Joseph? Joseph, please do. Please go ahead. Excellent. So Joseph is going to go over to the smartboard and he's going to help with the timeline. Before we watch this video of the other guy, not Charles Darwin, but the other person who discovered something about evolution, I need to kind of put this all into context for you in terms of our timeline of the story so far, okay? So Joseph, could you just write down timeline and write it nice and large at the top? Is it, yeah, there, on the left-hand side, okay? Just write timeline, okay, timeline. Nice. Everybody watching online, the recordings, can see clearly what's being written on the board, so we don't have to go close up to the board. Can I just remind you of something that Joseph is doing that maybe you may not have really understood until last week? He's writing with his own hand. That is one of the great breakthroughs towards the realization of greater power for humans. We invented this. We figured out how to do this. And so it's a really important thing that he's doing with his own hand. He's not using a machine. He's not typing. That comes much later in the human story. It started first with humans figuring out how you take a piece of grass from around a river and sort of then a hard piece of reed and you put into the cuneiform. You saw that last week, the tablet. Great. So, all right. So we're going to write the timeline now of where we've been so far. And I'm going to give you some details and things to help you so that we can come to this point finally where we're going to meet the people, much greater detail, who helped us to understand this story called evolution. There are two human beings that are central in this story who gave humans the idea, which has been confirmed again and again by genetic science, and that is it's called evolution through natural selection. This is how things have been happening on this planet. Charles Darwin, Alfred Russel Wallace. In a moment, I'm going to show you this lovely video about Alfred Russel Wallace. So based on this, where did our story begin? What's the beginning of this story and what's the date? Let's just make sure we understand this. I'll help you if you don't know. And I'll come back to, let me bring the live chat in here. Okay, Amber, you can't see the notes? Just a second. Hold on. You can't. Why? You should. Do you see?
It's just off screen. It's like half the notes are on there.
Just a second then. Just a second. I see what's happening. Thank you for. Okay, so it's because it's the wrong camera here. Just a second. I'll bring it in. Oh, because you're only seeing the camera from my laptop, of course. Thanks. You're not seeing the camera there all this time. You have. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do then. Okay, I can't move it over there. Guys, the workaround is going to be Joseph will put this on the board. We'll make our notes. You can still do that. I'm going to repeat for the students online, and I'll move this around. So Amber, Alex, everybody else, I'll repeat what Joseph is writing on the board. It's just going to be dates. It's very simple stuff. And then we'll still be able to save that PDF for the students watching the recording too. Okay? So Amber, as long as you can hear me, we're okay. So Joseph has written down timeline, evolution through natural selection. Let's go back and start right at the beginning in terms of the timeline of this whole story. When did our story, Short History of the World, begin exactly? With what event? Alec? The Big Bang. Okay, could you write down Big Bang? And you know what, to make it easier also in the live, while Joseph does this, Amber, could you write in the live chat this timeline as well? So everybody has this going. So Amber, go ahead and write Big Bang in the live chat, or somebody write it. Good, okay, excellent. When did the Big Bang happen, more or less? Millions of years, thousands of years, billions of years? 13.7 BYA. So can you write down 13.7 BYA? 13.7 BYA, billions of years ago. That's what we're working with. And that should appear in the live chat too, but I'll repeat it. In the live chat, excellent, Amber, that's the idea. Now we have this going, okay? The idea of evolution through natural selection relates to living things on Earth. We're getting there. The evolution part is actually bigger, and that's what we're talking about now. The idea that there has been this evolutionary development happening in space with the development of subatomic particles, clumping together into atoms. You saw that in the first class with the video I showed you and what have you. So the idea I'm trying to help you to understand is evolution is the most powerful force in the story of our world. Okay? Now, evolution has to be seen from a natural perspective, nature. It also has to be seen from the living things that grew on Earth. That's coming, and that's called natural selection. But let's just do nature first, outside of living things. We couldn't get living things until we had the solar system first. We needed the sun, we needed water, all of this things. So 13.7 billion years ago was a Big Bang. When did the sun form, more or less, our star in our solar system? Do you remember from the class? Does anybody want to put it in the live chat and try, or jump on their microphone? If not, I'll give you this date. 5 billion years ago, okay? 5 BYA. Joseph? 5 BYA. Great. Very nice writing. This is going to look good for the students watching the recording and the notes. Excellent. 5 BYA. Earth then essentially started to take its present shape. It was pummeled by other things in the solar system. It melted, it then hardened and cooled, etc. But Earth took more or less its present shape 4.5 billion years ago. How? The moon, well, it wasn't that the moon hit the Earth. It was that there were objects that were debris that was moving quickly around the sun, and the sun was also throwing off things that eventually created hardened debris that crashed into the Earth, and then pieces of the Earth began to fly out into space, and some of those pieces clumped together and became the moon. And this was happening between 5 billion years ago and 4.5 billion years ago. So over around a 500,000 year period, there was this very volatile time. 500 million. 500,000, because we're talking about 5 billion years ago. Yeah, 500 million. Thank you. 500 million. It's even longer. So you don't have to write that down, okay? But essentially, we get the Earth and the Moon and our solar system and the planets in the solar system taking their present place with Earth in that very special Goldilocks zone around 4.5 billion years ago, okay? The next major breakthrough or milestone, which we saw, was the beginning of life, and that was the emergence of the prokaryote. Remember that single cell organism? And that was approximately 3 billion years ago. Okay? 3 billion years ago. And you can say that's the prokaryote. Do you remember how to spell that? It's a tough one. I'll give you the spelling, Joseph. Prokaryote, a single cell organism, prokaryote. Aryote. Lovely. And emergence is not with an A, but it's with an E. So there's 2 E's. And you can just use you can rub it with your even finger. Just put your finger on A in emergence. You can rub it out with your finger. Go ahead. Just touch it. Touch the screen. Yeah. Good. Emergence of life. Nice. Now I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because we really want to get to civilization. But essentially, what we started to see is around 1 billion years ago. We see 1 billion years ago. We see the emergence of multicellular life, or the eukaryotes. So multicellular life, you can say that. Multicellular. 1 BYA. I just want to remind you about something that we're doing right now in this review, which is we may only have time for this today, but it's all right, as long as you are clear on this process. The 2 greatest human inventions are science and religion. Evolution was not created by humans. It's natural. We don't know who created it. In fact, that's why Albert Einstein has said that there's something behind the energy. There has to be something. Our religions, whether it's Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and all the tribal myths, the creation myths, they try to fill that big void with stories. And they're beautiful stories. They're amazing. We don't know how evolution really, why it happened, but it's real. The only way we can understand evolution is by the stories that we tell or by science. I'm giving you science. I'm telling you the scientific evolutionary story that we have been understanding more and more in our brief time as civilized humans. The idea that humans can understand the physical world is relatively new in the story of life on this planet. You are seeing in this timeline not religion. You're seeing the human attempt to understand the physical world through science. And that's what I'm focusing on in this class. But I will never disrespect religion, because religion helps us with other bigger questions, but we can't prove anything, or we can't prove a lot. So let's keep going with science. 500,000, so that's 1 billion years ago. When we get into 4.5, 3 billion, 1 billion, yeah, then we have 500 million years ago. 500 MYA. Water to land. There's the movement of these living forms that are moving out of water onto land because there's more oxygen in the atmosphere from the process of photosynthesis that created oxygen. And I touched on that, but let's just leave it at that. Water to land, water to land. 250 million years ago, the dinosaurs. So I've been touching on these things through the story. I was going to show all of you this in my lectures, but at least I can give you the correct timeline. So I can bring you right up to this awesome time, which is just the last 10,000 years. That's civilization. Real civilization has only been happening on this planet for the last 10,000 years. That's it. The dinosaurs, let me just remind you, were the largest living things that have ever walked the face of this planet. And they were here for about 190 million years. So 60 million years ago is when there's a mass die-off, mass extinction of dinosaurs. 60 million years ago. That was because there was a collision between the planet and an object from outer space that collided with the Yucatan Peninsula. And we can see the remains of that still in the Yucatan Peninsula. 60 million years ago. And yeah, absolutely. Go down to the bottom where you see the two vertical little lines in the right-hand corner. Keep going. There, and go down. You see the little lines there with that G? Yep. Lovely. Extinction of dinosaurs. 60 million years ago. Just to remind you about the science here. There's a reason why dinosaurs were so big. It wasn't because they were put here by a god at that size. There's a thing called photosynthesis that happens on this planet. Plants, essentially, when they get energy from the sun, and they're creating sugar from that and allowing themselves to grow, they're putting back oxygen into the atmosphere. A byproduct of photosynthesis is the emission of oxygen into the atmosphere. When there was more and more oxygen on this planet as a result of all of this vegetation growing, creating more oxygen, it meant that the animals were consuming and taking that oxygen in more, and they were increasing in size. And so gradually, the animals on this planet became huge because of the oxygen. Let's shoot ahead, okay? 7 million years ago, the Great Divergence. 7 MYA, the Great Divergence. You saw that. That is when the primates began to create a diverging species that would lead to us, the Great Divergence. The proto-humans branched off from the common ancestor of the chimpanzee and the gorilla and other primates and came down from the trees, became bipedal, standing up, and I explained this, but that's the Great Divergence. And then let's shoot right ahead to the starting line. Call it the starting line. 10,000 years ago. Civilization begins. $5,000 years ago, writing emerges. The part that I'm going to explain, but I don't want to have Joseph rubbing things out because I'm doing this off my toes right now, but I want you to be very clear. Before there was writing, there was agriculture. The two critical developments that started to accelerate civilization was that humans came out of the wild and they began to domesticate plants and animals, meaning instead of chasing after those things in the wild, they learned how to bring them onto a farm and make them do what we wanted them to do. That's farming. You take a seed, you take it out of the wild, you start to plant it, and you grow it in a certain way. You start to practice what's called artificial selection, which is you start to select things from nature that you would like to grow and other things that you don't want to, and gradually we're having more grain, we're having more millet, we're having more barley than was ever available in the wild. And we also domesticated animals. And there were only a very, very few, just a handful of animals that were able to be domesticated, meaning we could tame them. The cow, the goat, the pig. And guess what is the oldest animal that's ever been domesticated? I just learned this recently. It's going to blow your mind. You have one. A dog. Have you ever wondered why dogs are so amenable to humans? Apparently, I'm learning that the wolf, which kind of branched off and became a dog, the dog was very able to respond to human direction, and gradually its ability to take human direction was coded into its DNA, into its genes. And then over time, dogs from generation to generation in their genes would pass on that information of how you look at a human, how you don't get scared of a human, how you listen to a human. Maybe when you go home tonight and you have a dog, you might respect the dog even more. It has been with humans right from the beginning in terms of the animals that we began to domesticate. But we didn't eat the dogs. We ate cows and goats and pigs, and we ate all sorts of parts of them. Figured that out. So I'm going to stop and just say that civilization, up until 5,000 years ago, which is where I was going to pick up the story today, consisted of two huge breakthroughs, among many others, but the two biggest ones that we can deal with in the class right now in a very introductory way is we learned how to domesticate plants and animals. We figured out how to take them out of the wild and onto farms, and we started to settle around those farms, and the cities began to grow. That's called food production. That's called agriculture. We manipulated nature. Then writing came along and really began to accelerate things. If I'd had time today, I would have started to tell you about awakening to a great new power, which is when humans start to realize that they can actually rule themselves. It's called democracy or human rights. And it's Greece that will be a very important. That's going to have to wait until next week because this class has been, not exactly what I wanted it to be. But I will end in a moment because I want to make sure we have time for any questions, and then perhaps we'll end a bit early. But first, let me stay here. Online, excellent, Amber. We have the timeline going. If any of you would like to say something, and you're welcome to it, please come up here so the microphone can pick this up and you can speak, and I'll disappear and you can take over. Is there anybody who would like to add to this, or is there anything that you may be confused by? Okay, Joseph, do you want to come back and so you can sit here? But you can just leave it there. Okay, I will save it. That's excellent. That's a really, really good. Yes. Thanks, Alec. Thank you, Barry. I'm going to do that. Yep. Okay, well, let's talk about that. I'd like to end with one final video, which is lovely, about the discovery of human footprints, the earliest ones in New Mexico from 23,000 years ago. And it will give you a better sense of how we humans were beginning to move around the world. And then I'll do attendance and the final question, and then we're going to conclude the class, okay? But I'm just going to fill in a little bit of this timeline for you, okay? Just so you understand. When we look at this period of 7 million years ago and 10,000 years ago, I'll correct that after, okay, Joseph? Between 7 million years ago and 10,000 years ago, humans went from the Great Rift Valley, the proto-humans, the very early humans. They were all living in the Great Rift Valley in Eastern Africa. That's, if you look at the map of the world and you see the Mediterranean Sea, and you go east, and you have the Red Sea right at the eastern edge. You have Egypt, and there's Sudan, and there's Ethiopia, and there's Sudan, Ethiopia. There's Somalia, I think, in the Horn of Africa there, and you go down. There's a big valley there once upon a time that was much more lush than it is now. That's where we humans were beginning to come down from trees. And we gradually began to walk, following our animals through the planet over these millions of years. We know we were doing this, walking, because we've been discovering increasingly footprints. And you saw the footprints last week from Africa. I actually have something a little new for you today to help confirm this, and it's quite awesome. These are footprints of humans, not from 75,000 years ago in Africa, but 23,000 years ago in the Americas, in what is now New Mexico. So we have evidence that humans were walking out of Africa 75,000 years ago, and they're going to begin to spread. And in that time, there's going to be a lot of development. But then they gradually, over thousands of years, moved northeast up to what is now Siberia and across the Bering Strait, which was a land bridge, and down through the Americas, through the Ice Age. They were adapting to that, and into what is now the United States. And we have evidence of this, of these children. These are children's footprints in what is now New Mexico. Let me show you this video to prove this, so you get a sense of how we're moving from Africa around the world, and eventually we're going to create all of these cities around rivers in different parts of the world. Making sense? Yeah, okay. It's a great video. It's a very good news report that Global Television did on this. It's called Human Footprints. And I didn't even show Wallace, which was I planning to do. Okay. I'll do that next week, okay? This is important. So for those of you online, please click on Human Footprints and watch that, and then we'll come back in 3 or 4 minutes, and we're going to conclude the class. Here we go. Second.
This began digging through the layers. The vast and dry gypsum landscape in what is now New Mexico was once a giant lake. Archaeologists began digging through the layers of sediment laid down over tens of thousands of years. And then, clear as day, they came upon this: fossilized human footprints. Carbon dating of ancient seeds found among the footprints suggested a time long before it was thought possible. More testing of more layers confirmed the footprints were children walking by an ancient lake almost 10,000 years before we thought humans had arrived in North America.
They have dating with a very high degree of certainty, and we were astounded at just how old they turned out to be.
In Africa, skulls of Homo sapiens date earlier than 100,000 years ago. From there, great migrations began, first through the Middle East to South Asia, and later to Australia and to Europe, 40 to 50,000 years ago. More recently, humans crossed over what was then a land bridge that existed between Siberia and North America. It was believed they came only after the glaciers of the last ice age had begun to recede around 13,000 years ago. The new footprint suggests Humans came before the ice block migration and came to the southwestern U.S. up to 23,000 years ago.
This discovery is pretty staggering because it says people were actually here before those routes closed up.
It's believed the early humans in North America would have coexisted with mastodons and other primitive species. They may well have been the forebears of the indigenous people in the Americas, and the study suggests an early society existed here for at least 2,000 years.
You can just kind of picture the kids, like, oh, let's go down, play by the lake, or their parents say, go get some water. It's just like step. These little glimpses of activity and interaction over time are just fascinating.
Scientists say future research should focus on even older, undisturbed surfaces, where there may be earlier evidence of humans we didn't realize were already here. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
It's interesting, isn't it? You can see the evidence there, and let me just come back to here, and we're going to conclude. That video is there for you if you want to watch it again, but it helps you to just fill in a little bit of the story of how we were moving out of Africa and how we began to populate the rest of the world. It's a great migration story. We humans love to move around. Okay, let's stop. We're about 2 minutes left. Alec wanted to, first I'm going to do attendance, okay? And then if there are any questions, you can take those. Thank you for being so patient today with me on this tech. So first it's, your name again? It's Max. Max, okay, so Max is here. Of course, Alec is here, Josiah, and then Mackenzie, yep, Joseph, and Justin, Chavin, is it Chavin? I think it is, yes. And then Tala, yes, Tala, and Sham and Kyle, yeah, Kyle, is it Weir? Kyle Weir or Cole? Kyle Cole, sorry, Kyle, and then Ethan, okay, great. And then I gotta stay here so I can record this. What's Eric? Oh, Erica Persaud. Okay, good. Erica, nice to see you. Logan, Sujin, Kavin, C-H, K-A-V-I-N, Kavin, Yash, Y-A-S-H, Yash, okay, good. And then, yes, again, Yang Feng, yeah, Yang, and then Omer, I remember, okay? Great, so I've got that, and then online, actually, if I save this, I have, just to be safe, for all of you online, would you just put your full names now in the live chat, and then I can make sure everything is accurate here, okay? So go ahead. Thanks, Amber. That's great. Root and Alex, everybody do that. Okay, finally, just a sec. I know Alec do you have a question about something? Yes. Yes, yeah. Just base it on the review, absolutely, what we did in class. I have recorded lectures that I can post for you to catch up, but I have learned that when I do post these, students generally don't watch them. If you would like me to post any recorded lectures just to learn more, to catch up, just shoot me an email and I can do that for you. But I'm just going to make the executive decision right now that, to be blunt, it will be a waste of my time if I post these. Nobody's going to watch them. It's better if I just do everything in the live class. I've learned that, okay? But we fall behind sometimes, so anyways. As long as you walk out of here learning about the history of the world, I'm going to get you to the end one way or the other, not to worry, okay? But each class may be a little bit different as I adjust. Chavin, did you have a question? That's okay. He's focused. That's good. Well, Ben, everybody, Thanks very much. I'm here. If you have anything you want to talk to me about, I'm just going to save the live chat and make sure everything is good. And I'll see you next week and maybe in the Repair Cafe meetings. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you very much. I'm just going to conclude the class and shut down now. Okay. So for everyone online, take
Have a good
care.
day, sir.
Thank you. And I have that. Hold on. Let me just make sure I got that. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Josiah. The normal. It would be, it's a big one. You would have a choice of either a 1,400 or 1,500 word essay, or you could do a 4 to 5 minute video, or you could do anything presentation as well, a Prezi or PowerPoint, but or the Repair Cafe, and then you would be doing an essay about the experience. And I'll think about how history is not just about learning what happened. It's also about a mindset, Josiah. So if I had you go to the Repair Cafe and you told me a lot about how things work and why they work the way they do, that's the historical mindset, asking why and how. So if you wrote about the history of the Repair Cafe and why a certain machine computer was broken and how you fixed it, you're applying the historical mindset, which asks why and how. So exactly. Yeah. Well, that would, I have to think about it. I mean, I have to think about how that's going to work. I wasn't expecting to see maybe more than 1 or 2 students today answer, but there were several here. So I'm really going to make sure now that the assignment, I give some real thought to the history dimension, because some of you will be doing this for your final assignment. Okay. Okay. Send me email. Only one time I give you the extension, okay? So keep, you got to hit it. Otherwise, you're going to lose marks. Yeah. Okay. Justin? Yeah. Let me just make sure. Hold on. We've got this. I've got to make sure I have the live chat, and I did see it. So then I can be with you. Great. Okay. I'm going to shut down here. Stop the live stream.